Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's closeout planning meeting for Norfolk County Communities. My name is John Cronin. I'm the County Director. Bill Buckley's behind the scenes, ably running our Zoom today. We have a very brief PowerPoint presentation to share with you to guide us through the initial stages of what we're trying to communicate today. And at the back end, please be advised, we would welcome all of your questions and hopefully be able to provide many answers, but maybe not all. We'll see how that goes. Today is an informal opportunity to speak directly with you to let you know how things are trending and what our expectation is going forward as we approach this year and one of the more important years, I should say, regarding this grant. Bill, if you'd be so kind as to pull up the power deck, people can follow along. And again, we'll take questions at the end, if you don't mind. So this afternoon, we're going to cover a few areas, brief background on the grant, current status of the grant overall, and then finally our closeout plan. The background, slide 3, Bill. So in August of 2021, the Norfolk County Commissioners announced the program details to manage this $137 million federal ARPA grant program for the benefit of cities and towns. The Commissioners laid out several goals at that meeting, primarily to put the communities first, to provide a user-friendly portal to receive applications and turnaround approvals and denials expeditiously. We wanted to fortify the process with programmatic and legal compliance levels. We want to handle all U.S. Treasury reporting and compliance responsibilities for the cities and towns and provide all funding to Norfolk cities and towns based on the 2019 census. Most of all, we also want to be a source of support and assistance to these cities and towns throughout the process. Check marks indicate we believe we've largely obtained our goals and provided most, if not all, of those benefits to the cities and towns. Current status, slide 4, Bill. To date, the county has distributed 159 grants, totaling just over $96 million. Excuse me. Virtually every city and town is now in the program. Some are further along than others. And briefly, as a snapshot in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see the total grant being $137,282,000, less than 3% holdback by Norfolk County for administration and projects. $133.16 million is set aside and available to the county communities. To date, as I mentioned, we're about $96.5 million into that. We've got $36.7 million to go, and we feel like we're in a very good position to help you optimize the use of these funds. Slide 5. This information is on our website. It's publicly available. If you haven't visited our Norfolk County website, please do so. We have an ARPA tab that can show you primarily where all the county communities are using their funds. In this area, we show a presentation that, by and large, 56% of the money is going towards infrastructure, water, sewer, followed by public health and economic impact. These trends are not indifferent than what we see in our other community, our other county programs, very similar breakout of funds. Closeout plan. Get right to it on slide 6, Bill. Our main goal is to make sure we don't give any money back to the U.S. Treasury. Yeah. To that end, we wish to work directly with every community to optimize their allotment. As town administrators ought to know and town managers, the original grant agreements expired June 30th, 2024. That date was deliberately chosen to allow the county to assess the overall grant's position prior to the December 31st obligation deadline. To achieve our optimization goal, communities are directed to provide a plan to the county by March 1st, 2024, on how they plan to utilize their remaining allotment of funds. By July 1st, we intend to reissue or reauthorize the grant agreements to the communities that affirms their plan to obligate funds before December 31st. Bill, if you go to slide 7, please. With approximately 60% of the funds that have been dispersed to date under the advanced category, the county will focus on how that approved funding is expected to be obligated or expended within the plan. Communities must provide real and demonstrable deadlines for funding approval beyond the June 30th deadline that details the disposition of the funding. If communities envision changes to any existing award we encourage you to send such requests in so that we can act without delay to accommodate your new needs. Similarly, if communities have any surplus left over from previous awards, we encourage you to return these funds for reallotment back into your use towards new grant applications. Slide 8. As the January 5th memo to each of you indicated, the county plans to require a final update from communities on their closeout plans by September 30th, 2024. This phase will allow the county to assess the status of any remaining funds that are surplus from previous awarded funds to a community that cannot be reasonably obligated by December 31st, and surplus funds that are not previously awarded and eligible for award to grant applications deemed ready by the Norfolk County Commissioners. As the January 5th memo indicated, we do encourage communities that have reached their allotment but have had additional eligible project requests, preferably reimbursement, to enter them into the enter those applications into the portal. You can do that now. There's no delay on that. They'll remain in the queue until and if this stage of additional grant award funding is undertaken. Slide 9, Bill. The community plans are critical to the successful closure of this phase of the grant. Our team will work to ensure that all communities have new agreements as needed by July 1st to proceed with grant closeout. We do anticipate another all-community Zoom later this calendar year, probably in the October timeframe, to provide updates on this closeout and cast a view into the important monitoring phase of the grant, which will carry us between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2026. Slide, Bill. These dates are cut and paste directly out of the memo I sent out on the 5th. You'll note that the January 5th memo has been released. It is up on our website. We are looking for the community plans by March 1st. By May 1st, all projected reversions are due to the county treasurer from the communities that have completed projects and have leftover funds, or projects that are not likely to be completed. We'll reassess what those reversions and that surplus looks like for reallocation. Effective July 1st, the county will recalculate those remaining funds for distribution that have identified projects that can be completed through the reimbursement or advancement category by December 31st, 2026. Our community plan, these community plans is to include new contracts with new deadlines on a case-by-case basis. And the community has to agree to provide updates on all projects by 9/30 for final closeout. By September 30th, the county is receiving the final closeout project updates, and we reserve the right to take action to call back any awards due to inability to obligate the funds by the end of the calendar year. Concludes this afternoon's deck presentation. If you have any questions, I would love to hear them at this time. Kindly raise your hand if you know the drill. The reaction button, you'll be recognized. Plymouth County had a very similar presentation last week. They had 50 participants, and Tom O'Brien was happy to tell us there was not one question. We assured Tom that would not be the case with Norfolk County. So I'd be amazed if there aren't any.
So, John, I guess on my end, if you can hear me, Jim Johnson, Walpole.
Hi, Jim. Go ahead.
The funds that aren't used by other communities, will that be like, how will that be split up? If I'm looking at Kate and Chris and Westwood and Needham, and if Walpole goes for it, if there's $1 million, will the three of us be able to get 333, or how does that work?
That's going to have to be one of those things. We talked about that previously, Jim. If it's $1 million, dividing that between 28 cities and towns based on the per capita allocation is, I'm not going to call it a waste of time, but it's going to look kind of goofy. But if it's something more, it might make sense. If it's $1 million, we'll have a conversation about prioritizing how those funds can be sent to communities that have ready projects, preferably reimbursement and so forth. So I don't have a clear answer for you right now, but we'll probably be looking to have that conversation directly with those communities somewhere in June. So stay tuned on that.
Okay.
We have Kate, John.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I got two questions. One is, can you send us the slide deck? And two, can we just start sending in new applications if there's money to available in the future that we are on record?
Yes, you can. We had a conversation with Clifton Larson this morning about coding those new applications that come in that are above allotment. So in other words, right now your application number is ARPA followed by a sequential number. They'll be looking to help code those additional allotment grants. So watch for that. But yes, feel free to start beginning to put those in, Kate. This Zoom presentation will be put up on our website, but if you want it, if you want the decks directly sent to you, I can do that as well. No problem.
John, Chris from Westwood.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good, thank you very much, and thank you for this presentation. Just in response to Jim's hypothetical, I thought Westwood was going to get all million, but we could talk about that later.
Cage match.
The question I have for the county, would the additional funds be under the restricted bucket or the revenue loss bucket?
Restricted.
Restricted.
We, as you may know, Chris, a year ago, the county did a reallocation of the revenue loss funds. Since then, we've seen minimal change to that model. We should know more after the communities submit their plans to us on March 1st. And if there's sizable release of revenue loss, we'll certainly let folks know. But in reality, the revenue loss piece is largely spoken for. So that's the reality.
Thank you. I just want to know when we submit the applications, which bucket they would go for. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Not one question from Medway, Jim Johnson. Can you believe that?
I'm shocked. I think he might have muted himself.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
got
see
a
him.
finance committee meeting or something like that.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
You know, he's been paying attention, and I just think this is a moot point because Medway is grabbing the rest, so.
Grabbing their ass. I will say, you know, when we look at our profile, 28 cities and towns, 9 of them are in good shape. 3 of them are completely done. They have expended their funds. The other 6 of the 9 have not yet spent them, but 9 out of 28 communities are fully allotted. So we see that as a positive, moving towards achieving the goal of getting everybody what they deserve. So when we know what that surplus looks like, we'll be in full disclosure, open and honest with you folks that it's your money. The county has, as you all know, a 3% set aside for administration. We are collecting interest on the money, so we have a separate pot of money for that as well. So the county's not looking to take any of these funds for its use. And we're encouraging communities to have reimbursement programs ready so that we can land them into areas that can expend these funds without delay. We believe that ultimately when the county is done with this program, you're going to hopefully see the benefit of us running the program at such a low administrative overhead and a high efficiency and support level. And I want to thank each of you for your help over the last couple of years. I know when we engaged this initially, it was new to a lot of you, and we had to convince you we could handle this. And I think so far we have been. The commissioners are delighted giving out the funds and spending time with each of you and your select boards respectively to hopefully enrich your community's needs through these funds. Our support doesn't end on December 31st, 2024. We're going to keep engaged over the final 2 years. We had a brief conversation with our county partners and Clifton Larson today about what that monitoring space is going to look like. Some of you have already been selected for program monitoring. We do expect a little bit more intensive review in the last 2 years to make sure you're spending the money the way you told us you were. And also to help you close out any reports that are due, obviously, for the grant program. Are there any other questions today that I can help answer? In the event that following today you have any questions, feel free to email myself or Bill Buckley. We'll be happy to get back to you as quickly as possible. And if there are no other questions,
John, we have Carl from Dover just raised his hand.
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for doing this. So we have an application in right now for $750,000, which is being delayed, I guess, or held up because the existing agreement we have with the counties has already expired. So that's prohibiting us from moving ahead with this project. So if we submit the new plan to the county, which is due by March 1st, will we have to wait, if we submit it early or as early as we can, will we have to wait until after March 1st before we have new agreements?
No, and just to clean up a little bit about what you were referring to, Carl, the grant agreement expires June 30th, and in Dover's case, I believe you're looking for funds to expend after that time period. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. And so we were waiting to see if Dover had any other plans against its allotment that we could couple that answer into to give you one response, one revised agreement to get you on your way. And if that's something you want to talk to me offline about, I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, I think we will need to,
Okay.
so we don't delay the existing project.
We have done a couple of grant adjustments. I cannot recall who they are off the top of my head. In instances where the program spending takes you beyond June 30th. It's not a big deal. We're here to help you, but we want to make sure that if you do plan to spend beyond June 30th and you need an advance to do that, that you have a solid path to do that. Do you have your contract lined up? Do you have bond approval, or capital spending approval from your town, so forth? So in the cases where we've extended those grants, Carl, it's because those communities have checked those boxes. And I'll be happy to talk to you separately about Dover's position after this call.
Great.
Any other questions, Bill?
None that I see. So moving forward, we'll send the slide deck out to all participants. We'll also place it on the website. We'll place this video on the website as well and send it out to all participants later this afternoon. And just want to underscore, we're here to help you get across the finish line and work with you. So please reach out to us sooner rather than later. We're eager to help.
Christine, I see you on the call. Could I ask you a separate question? Could you have Frank call me this afternoon? I have a separate question pursuant to our conversation last week. I want to follow up with one. I think I have a path for you folks. Have a
Sure,
conversation.
I'll give you a call in a little bit.
All right, yeah, Beth, thank you. Appreciate that. Everybody good? All right, holler if you have any questions. If not, stay warm and enjoy the day. Thanks for all your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.